go live. And there we are. Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry about that. That's a very rough start. Just had a bit of water go down the wrong pipe there. Retopology is what we're going to be doing. I should point out, last time when we left off, this thing wasn't in a T-pose, and I tried to do some retopology between last stream and this one, just to test out how it would work, how well it would go. Turns out the answer is not very well at all. Because it was just a nightmare getting into like these armpit areas, and that's the exact reason why we model things in T-poses. So I spent some time reposing and re-sculpting some of these parts to now be T-pose worthy. Now, we're going to retopologize at least this bit here, the cloak itself manually, and then I think maybe we'll also do the skull. I'm not entirely sure whether or not the skull is going to be animated or not. I'm thinking I want to have the skull be animated, so we probably will retopologize that as well. The arms, I am not entirely sure on. The issue is, I actually realized going into going into edit mode here, is at some point these fingers got fused together, meaning that they're no longer like separate meshes. So all of the fingers, like for this hand, this one still has a separate unconnected mesh. For this one, the top finger bone is as well. Here the finger bone connects to the hand itself, and it's just gonna be a mess. Fixing that is probably gonna be about as much of a mess as just retopologizing the arm a second time anyway. So we'll probably just retop with that as well. These little I just had dinner, I'm sorry. Still, my throat is catching up to me. These little arm wrestle, not wrestle things. These arm things, you know what I mean. I will probably retop, but that's going to be a very easy job. I think these spine segments and this rib cage, I'm just going to decimate and call it a day, because these are not going to really deform or change too much, so these don't really need topology to be all that good, I don't think. So with all that said, once my voice stops fucking me over, I really shouldn't start streaming or recording so soon after having an entire goddamn pizza. Well, it's a person-sized pizza that I had. Real nice dinner. Let's get started. So I have the mesh B surface thing. I don't know. I think it's like a plugin. Does it come with Blender usually? I don't know. The idea is that you can just draw some lines just like this, and it will give you a good starting point for your retopology. So these will now be projected onto there. And I can say, hey, mesh of the B surface. I can, how does this work again? Hold on. I think we initialize, and then we add surface. And then we want to, I swear my throat is going to catch up in a moment and just be fine. And then we'll shrink wrap it to the cloak, and this will then be the low poly version of the cloak. We can set this to always be in front as well. Shade smooth, I don't really care about. Display wire, I don't know if I care about that. And that's all there is to it, really. So now we just start extruding this shit out. So we take this edge and say, hey, you belong here now, and we just do that all the way along, and every so often we'll just have to stop and realign a specific vertex a little bit more. And that's the basic idea of how to set up this retopology. The first bit here is going to be relatively easy to do, but it's going to get a bit more painful as we go along. As I'm sure at some point I will be forced to show you. And you have to be careful to project them onto the right surface as well. Now, ideally, you don't want to end up with situations like this, where throughout this whole strip, we made the faces a lot smaller, but we'll take care of that in a moment here. We can just make this a little smaller, and that a little smaller. And now we've got one entire strip around the body, which is great. Once we've done that, not entirely sure how I'm going to do the insides here, but once we've done that, we can simply just select any corner vertex and press F and just fill in some new faces. And that then creates our second strip around. And I think for now that is actually the way we're going to do this the rest of the way around. Just making a just making, as I was saying, this little strip around is quite easy. And here again you can see that I have a tendency to make like my faces this big, but the initial drawing was way too fucking huge. So let's pull these up a little bit so that they actually fit the size that I'm working with here a little bit better. So these bits are quite simple to do, obviously. It is the arms that are going to be a little bit more difficult. And then specifically the areas where the arms and this body part meet. That's where the issues are going to start coming in. So let's actually get rid of the arms themselves, because I'm only going to get in the way. And maybe what we want to do is we want to start drawing a couple of lines on here. So we want to say, hey, if we just draw our geometry on like this, I really should connect up my tablet, but I don't actually have any USB slots open at the moment for my tablet, so I can't even do that. Let's make these joint wraps also invisible. And this is actually going to be like super easy to do properly. Because now I can just add this surface and we just straight up have the surface for the top of the arm. We need to obviously change things up a little bit and make things go into the right places. But that is remarkably simple. And then at some point we're going to just subdivide this to get a lot more detail in, of course. Maybe don't use the what is it called? Proportional editing. I was going to say area edit. I don't know why. So yeah, something like this. That's a pretty decent, like, top of the arm. Hello, Cloudy Gaming. How are you doing today? Now, the big issue here comes in when we want to connect these bits up, right? And as such, I'm not going to do that yet. That's the way I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to draw in the geometry here for the underside of the arm, and then we're just going to connect those up in a moment. It is quite important that I make sure that these, oh my god, this is exactly what we want a tablet. Drawing with a mouse specifically, like without a mouse pad either, is a fucking nightmare. Anyway, it is quite important that we make sure that we have the same amount of lines in the same rough areas when doing this, because otherwise things aren't going to line up, and that's going to be a pain in the backside. And of course we can move some vertices around in a moment, so that'll be fine. Now, these are the wrong side up, which is not great. So I'll select one of them, and then we will flip the normals. And now they're the right side up. Are you making the game? Yes, I am. At the moment I'm making a model, of course, but it's a model that's going to go into the game. So let's connect these up, and this is the real easy bit, right? Because now that we have just a bunch of like empty, unbridged faces, I can just say F, 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 F all the way around, and that just closes up this geometry. Now, there's gonna be a lot more detail needed here, obviously, because like, especially with like those drippy parts and stuff, that's not great, but this is a decent start. And that then gets us into connecting these bits up. Eventually. Maybe not yet. I really don't want to, because that's the thing that's going to be a pain. But let's do it on this one side first. Before we do it on the other side as well. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. So, what do we need? We need to make sure that we have a proper amount of vertices here to connect things up. So that's 2 more on that side, and I think 3 more on that side. That's a bad start. And then we just connect these up. We'll move these edges around a little bit so that they're slightly more straight in a moment. And then we can fill them with faces. And that connects up the underside. You have no idea how much smoother this is than what I had in my own off-stream attempt. I really hate how maybe move this one first. In my own like off-stream attempt of this that I did earlier this week, this was mostly the problematic part. Just moving these one vertex at a time is going to be so much easier, actually. This was the mostly problematic part, and we've kind of just already solved that now. So it's very worth it for me to have gone back over this and read on the T-pose. Because the great thing is now, we have like this entire edge selection, right? Which goes all the way back up here. And ideally, once we're done, it will also connect up to the other arm and such. But we also will then have... yeah, so maybe that's not great. We'll have to figure that out. The idea is that we'll need to have like edges that go along here, and maybe that'll fix that up. So once we add in that and we add in like those faces, that will now... Yeah, exactly. So if we finish up this little circular round, I think that means that we have pretty good geometry. And that just means that we have to fill in a couple of faces for the shoulder, which might be an issue. I'm not great at doing this retopology thing. I'm gonna come out straight ahead and say that. Wait a second, you can just control click and... Is it shift click? Control right click and extrude. My goodness, I have no idea how much easier that makes me in my life. Holy shit. Okay, so this is the side face, right? That connects up, so this needs to be like much more over there. Yeah, we'll need to figure that out at some point. I'm not going to care about that right now. Okay, that's actually not what I had in mind. I don't know, I feel like maybe I shouldn't do retopology on stream in the future, because it feels like most people just don't give a shit about it, if I'm being frank with you. Then again, I think it is valuable to like do this on stream because, well, nobody wants to do this kind of shit, right? How the fuck is this face even laid out? How does that even make sense? Does this thing even have 4 vertices? Yes, it does. Okay, so the edge flow for this is going to... Yeah, it's going to take in the entire arm there. What I think would be preferable is if it didn't do that. And instead would... Let's just try to see if we can fix this up. I wanted to go over the shoulder instead of all the way over the arm. Just as like a point of like principle, more or less, to be honest with you. It might do that once I add in these faces. Maybe? We'll see. I think making this, yeah, circular makes a lot more sense actually. That's a good point. And then this still goes all the way over the arm. Just that I only have like 2 streams a week, and I want to make sure that I stream stuff that like people find helpful and or interesting. And there seems to be a pretty consistent thing where this kind of work people just don't really care about. So maybe I just should not be doing this on stream. Also, it's the kind of work that I actually like personally also hate to do. And as such, I'm not really like invested to get particularly good at it. So it's not even like I have a lot of all that valuable insight into it. Let's add a little bit of extra geometry here. I think that couldn't hurt. And also add in a subdivision before the shrink wrap. I don't know if that make it more or less readable though. Feels like this is not going to do a lot of helping. We'll see. Specifically those little like drooping cloth things are like a big fucking issue. Which I'm also just not entirely sure how I'm going to deal with. Maybe what I'll do instead of what I'm trying to do... Hold on, I have an idea. I have an idea. Don't know if it's a good idea, but I certainly have an idea. If I just pull this one all the way back to here, and then I add in another loop cut somewhere along here. Could I then not just say, find the face? Don't even know what the fuck's going on with this face. But we can make this maybe work. If I can just get this face lined up like that. Could I then just not like extrude this and move it? This isn't helping. It's not helping at all. Because it needs to be on the other... Fuck me. Okay, so we're not doing that. Yeah, I don't know about AI mocap stuff. And I'm definitely not in a place to do any live troubleshooting right now. So I'm not entirely sure. As you can see, I have some fucking issues of my own here to figure out. I should have thought about these like little droopy bits being an issue earlier. I suppose the way we're going to fix this up is just saying, hey, move these one vertex at a time. And then move these one vertex at a time along the outside. Just kind of like almost tracing it like a drawing. We need to do this on the underside as well, I just realized. Why are these two connected actually? What the fuck is going on with that? So that means that these need to go over here. It does. Okay. So this is one loop at a time, because it's gonna be rough enough as is. You see, because that loop goes all the way over there. That's definitely not what we want. I wish you could like keep things soft highlighted. So that it just shows you the highlight, but doesn't actually like influence anything that you do. Okay, that's a pretty decent loop. There's always going to end up with that problem, isn't it? So we don't need to move this loop. What we need to do is we need to... I guess we need to just slowly add detail. I guess that's what we, in the end, really want. What happened to my subdivision? Did I remove that with Ctrl Z? I probably did. Yes, I did make this all from scratch. Oh yeah, the subdivision is definitely not helping too much. What if, just an idea, what if we shrink wrap again after the subdiv? That... Yeah, no, that does not help. Never mind, we'll add the subdivision later. For now, it's okay. Like, what the fuck even is this point? I just actually... No, straight up that's not gonna do the trick either. Fuck, this is actually a pretty complex shape. I wasn't very prepared for that. So we do want to probably extrude this out. I think that is the way that we actually just straight up need to do this. This vertex, maybe? Back here? And then this one also back here. I think everything is now front facing. And once we've done that, we can add in a couple of loop cuts here, which will not at all do proper work on shrink wrapping. What the actual fuck? Why not? Okay. What if we apply this and then we say, hey, put in another shrink wrap to the cloak. Is that gonna do much? Doesn't seem like it's gonna do much. Yeah, this is not a shape that's making my life particularly easy. I also don't know what I just did. Did I just solo? No, I turned off the collection. Okay. But you know, it's the shape that I wanted, so it's the shape that we're going with. It's just like this entire stream is probably going to be this arm. I want to prepare everybody here. This is going to take a while. And that's okay. That's entirely okay. What is not okay is how difficult it is to properly like read what the hell is going on in three-dimensional space here. I guess the best way to do that would be to just like turn off the cloak itself and go into object mode and then not display the wires. Maybe this just needs to have a slightly higher alpha. Actually, I mean, that could be worse. That's not entirely, like, too bad. Definitely need to move some points around, but I think we've got the flow down as to how we're going to be doing these little, like, droopy cloth shapes. I know that's not how it works, by the way, but I really sometimes do wish that the vertices themselves could be backface called as well. Like, if a vertex is part of a face that is being called, just don't show the vertex as well. Actually, no, that is how that works. never mind. That's very helpful. Thank you very much, Blender. That's exactly what I needed. Okay, so now the issue is... Yeah, on the exact opposite side we also have a bit drooping down. I don't actually know that that is an issue though. I think that's pretty fixable by just pulling these down a little more. And we already have the resolution here to do that. Kinda. Okay, what the fuck is going on here? Is this the face? That is the face. Okay, that is horrendous. This is supposed to be... Where is that even supposed to be? I don't even know how that would... Okay, this is supposed to be there, and then these two we extrude. We're gonna get somewhere at some point. I don't know when or where, but we're gonna get there. You know, maybe if we just like extrude this without the projection bit first. My god, that actually helps a lot. What is the shortcut for that? Shift tab. Remember that. We're going to use Shift tab a lot, I feel. Because we can just simply pull this down and over in this direction. What is the edge for this? Okay, so maybe like keep it a little bit more like that. How even does that make sense? I suppose those are just two extra faces. You know, I don't hate it, I think. Aside from the fact that there's a little bit of a lighting issue here, but that might just be some double... It feels like those are double vertices. Hold on. Merge... Not object name, are you crazy? Like, merge by distance? Remove 10 vertices? That feels a bit better. And especially if we add in the subdivision surface that I have been talking about this entire time. Before the shrink wrap. I think I can deal with that. We're going to turn it back off now. I hope you guys are enjoying this, because there's going to be like another hour and a half of this at least. And then we'll have done one arm. I don't know if this is going to take the entire 2 hours to do this arm. It's probably actually just straight up knob, if I'm being real with you. It's probably going to take like half the stream to do this arm, and then we'll probably do the other half in this stream as well. Talking is difficult. I've had a long couple of days, okay? Give me a break. But I'm getting a little bit more of a feel for how I want this to work, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so now this is roughly lined up, I think. We shift tab to turn off projection, and then we just extrude out. Shift tab to turn projection back on, and we pull these down all the way to the bottom, more or less. Something like that. I feel like they're maybe a little too close together now. Yeah, I think they're both on the... Are they both on the underside? Maybe I just need more geometry. Hold on. Yeah, I think they're both on the underside. So let's turn back on projection and make sure that these are on the top side. And then when we add more geometry, that should fix up that problem. Sounds like somebody's fucking dying out there. But that's a them problem. My problem is much more important right now, and that is this fucking horrendous model. Fun idea making a Grim Reaper. Yeah, definitely should do that. Nothing ever could go wrong. Definitely the best idea I've ever had. I swear to God, if I import this into Unreal Engine and the cloth physics just shit themselves, I'm gonna jump out of my goddamn window. I think I can like extrude this out one more time. Probably. No, actually, no. I was going to say I probably should have just done this in a more basic shape and then without dynamic topology, like sculpted these things out of the existing geometry that I did after the retopology, but that also wouldn't have made a lot of sense. So we'll just do this one fucking step at a time. It's fine. Really coming along. I'm glad you think so. There's a long way to go still, but this is the most tedious part of the process, without a doubt. Once this is done, we should be pretty much good to go. Let's add a little bit of like geometry this way as well. From there, there's things like UV unwrapping, which is trivial, and then we can get to like texturing, which is actually like a part of the process that I really, really like. Even though like it's not my strongest point in the process necessarily. I really do like doing it. And then we get to animation, which I would argue I'm probably better at animation than I am at texture art, but I like it less. So I'm less so looking forward to that part. I'm glad you like following along with my pain and misery. Well, it's been fun up until this part. It's just like retopology is a pain, and I lack a couple of the like standard plugins that people use in Blender for retopology. And honestly, like I'm not even that worried about getting particularly good at it either anytime in the near future, because I feel like this is one of those things that, just like UV unwrapping, actually let's add in another loop cut for this. Just like UV unwrapping is still a relevant skill to be able to properly do, but like for quick and dirty, for easy models, if you don't really want to like deal with it, automatic UV unwrapping these days is really, really good. I feel like Retopology is gonna get there with the help of AI at some point. Like the decimate modifier in Blender itself is actually really good, and like I don't know what a program is called anymore. It's called something Instant Mesh is what it's called. It's also really good. It's just not as good as a person doing it at the moment, which just kind of means that hold on, this is whoa, yes, this is much fucking better. No, it's not, because it projects it all onto the top plane. But that can probably be fixed. Maybe. Potentially. Hold on. If we just project these onto the... like, make sure that they're projected onto the bottom here. I've never met anybody who likes doing retopology. Because I think nobody does and nobody should. Okay, how does this... that feels like it holds up decently well. We still need to move things around a little bit, obviously. And we need to make sure that we have the right vertices on the right sides. That's quite important. What the fuck even is going on with these vertices? I don't even know, dude. I feel like I should be pulling these out a little bit more like this. But I'm also not that confident about it. Well, yeah, but work by hand is always... well, always, I don't want to say always. Like, there's definitely things that 10 years ago I would have said it's going to be more precise to have, like... for anybody who is familiar with animation terms, right? Rotoscoping, which is the art of, like, taking input footage and drawing based on that. It's something that you do in compositing quite a lot, like in After Effects, where you like want to cut somebody out. Like, if you told me about 10 years ago whether or not like a person rotoscoping or like a computer rotoscoping would be doing a better job, I would probably say, yeah, I don't think you really want a computer doing that. That's like very fine, detailed stuff. Like, that's very difficult for a computer to understand. And there's still definitely going to be edge cases where you want a person with like the ability to recognize context to do things. But for the most part, we're at a point where rotoscoping at this moment, in like 90% of cases, like a computer is actually just straight up like faster but also more accurate at it. And I feel like we might get there with Retopology one day as well. Where we can just... oh my god, that is not what I wanted to do. Where we can just rely on like AI generated retopology, because it's just going to be better at it. And again, there's always going to be edge cases where like there's like specific like really weird shapes or specific context needed. Where people are going to do it better. But I feel like at some point, those edge cases are going to end up being pretty uncommon. Oh my god. Let's just hold on. If we add in like 3, that's exactly what I hoped would happen. There we go. That's close enough. Oh, without a doubt, in the end, like these, all these things are just tools to be used. And there's gonna be like idiots who claim themselves to be AI artists, right? Which is just shorthand for, hey, I'm an idiot. Those idiots are gonna be there. I use like AI art generation, don't get me wrong. I really like using it in specific scenarios, but I'm not calling myself an artist for like telling ChatGPT to create an image. Like, I call myself an artist for going through the fucking shit that I'm doing right now. And forgetting to turn on the projection. But I still use AI art because I really suck at making 2D art. And it's still also, like, it's nice to just sometimes be able to, like, I need an icon for, like, a UI thing. Let's make that with ChatGPT, especially if it's, like, a placeholder thing. But also, I use ChatGPT quite a lot for, like, if I open a pure ref, hold on. Repo. For this very model. Like, all of this, okay, this is a Google image, and these spines also are. But the rest of this, like, all of these, like, skull and Reaper images, this is all ChatGPT. And I use that as inspiration to then spend, like, 50 hours making this guy. Well, I'm not 50 hours in yet, but by the time this guy is done, like, programming and stuff included, we're probably gonna be in the 30 to 50 hour range. So I've talked about this a lot in the past, and I'll probably talk about it a lot in the future because this is not a topic that's going to go, like, stale anytime soon. But I'm more so excited than terrified about the prospect of, like, AI in the art space. Like, yeah, there's definitely going to be problems with it, and it's going to cost, like, artistic jobs. Again, anybody who thinks that it's not going to cost jobs is insane. But it's also then making it easier for like independent creators to make what they want to make. And like, if you, at the moment, if like art is your job, I get that that is like very threatening. But there we come back to the kind of overused argument that the issue there isn't AI art. The issue there is capitalism. Right? The fact that we need a job in such ways, like, to survive is the basic issue there, and not the fact that the jobs are being taken. I actually don't hate that. And I mean, if you look through my code, for instance, there's a lot of that's also not necessarily been generated, but sometimes I'm like, I know what I want to do, right? I want to, like, loop over this array and do X, Y, and Z to the elements within the array. Just typing that out as a 2-sentence thing is just faster than typing out the entire, like, C++ syntax of it. So just typing it out, letting Copilot have a gander at it, and then tweaking the things that it misunderstood is just faster. And I do everything on my own. So everywhere where I can just have, like, oh, this is 10% faster now, is going to help me be able to, like, create the things that I want to create. Yeah, I moved to stream time because YouTube's analytics told me that more people are online in my audience between like 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. my time, which is really annoying for me because usually I have dinner around 5 p.m. So I have to have dinner early in order to make this time slot. So we're going to do this for a couple of weeks and see whether or not the analytics actually supports like there being more viewers around this time period. And if not, I'm moving it back to like 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. my time. I'm going to keep the like Tuesday, Thursday upload schedule probably though or upload schedule, live stream schedule probably though for live streaming because I'm going to start uploading tutorial videos for the inventory course on Monday as well, starting next week, and I don't really want to live stream like an hour after having uploaded a video because I feel like it might be a good thing, to be fair. It might drive people to watch the live stream because live streams get pushed to the top of the feed, right? So after people watch the live stream, I might be able to like goad them into going into that video. There is an argument to be made for that. But I also feel like uploading a video and then live streaming so close to each other kind of like cannibalizes either or, because people who just see that video being uploaded might not stop in for the live stream and vice versa. So I don't really want to do that. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays I upload shorts, and I don't feel like shorts really will have that same issue. I also need to remind myself to turn on the surface projection after I extrude stuff. Yeah, there's on the Discord it is still a bit of an issue where it now pings you twice very close to each other. That's not ideal. I wish I had a way of telling Discord not to not to push notifications for shorts. That would be amazing, because I don't need people on Discord to be notified when I upload a short. That seems a little too much, but I can't make a difference between the two of them. Maybe I need to try that out, but I think these shorts already are set to like not notify subscribers either. I thought that might be able to help me out, like just if I don't notify subscribers, maybe the bot won't pick up on it, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So I need to maybe figure it out at some point, if that's even possible, to make like a difference between those. Now that I've actually found like a rhythm to doing these, it's actually not too bad of a job retopologizing these. And now if I just add in like a couple of loop cuts, I can pull these down, and there we go. Which side is this supposed to be on? That's the back side, I believe. Yeah, that works, that's fine. And I turn on subdivision as well. We'll go back over this at some point and fine-tune things. For now, just getting the rough shape is kind of all that we need. Let's see, this is... yeah, that's the side. So that makes... what the fuck? What the actual hell happened with... oh my god! Okay, hopefully that's gonna fix itself in a moment. But it probably won't. Fuck me. The average poly count in my game for models, that's kind of hard to answer. I think most of the character models are in the vicinity of about 50,000. Some of them are higher, specifically like the night boss that I have is I think closer to 100,000, just because it's got like a lot of detail, specifically like in the hands and stuff. And then there's like a lot of art assets. Well, there's not a lot of art assets yet, but some of the art assets that I have, like the coffin that I commissioned for the Fiverr video, for instance, I think is like 500 polys or something, maybe even less. It's really, really low. And then the skull lantern that I made, which is also like the base for this skull that we have over here, is I think like 4,000. For just like a decorative asset. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, something is weird about that loop, but I'm just going to pretend like that's not the case and move the fuck on. That seems like a reasonable strategy there. Because again, I kind of suck at retopologizing, and I don't like doing it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing it. And it's just kind of the way things are going to go. But we can maybe move these verts around a little bit. I'm thinking maybe add a separate channel for lives, just a big red dot. Just making it as a live video. Yeah, I don't think that I am going to split off, at least not anytime soon, a separate channel for live streams, because frankly, the live streams do tend to like bring in people, because again, it is a type of content that while live gets pushed to the top of the feed. So also like people find the channel as a result of live streams. So ideally, if I could, I would definitely make that. Well, I can, but it wouldn't be very smart on my part to make that into like a separate channel. Like if I had it my way and I didn't have to think about like algorithm things, I wouldn't even upload the devlogs on the same channel as the tutorials. And maybe sometime in the far future that will be separated out, but like not anytime soon. Like for the very foreseeable future, that's all going to be like living in the same place on this channel. There we go. What the hell? Something is weird about this. And it's probably because this vertex is in a very weird place. Also, it's a double vertex, maybe? Let's merge by distance. Remove 48 vertices. That doesn't seem great. Well, if that runs into any issues in the future, I guess we'll worry about that when we come to it. What doesn't work about your penetration system? Whoa, that's a mouthful. Oh my god, no, don't. Last night everything seemed to be working pretty fine, right? You know, it gets pretty close to what I need. These don't even need to necessarily animate that well, they just need to be good enough for the cloth sim in engine. These little bits. So there's actually, like, if we just add in a couple of loop cuts here, I actually think that this is pretty good. And we can just extrude this one out a little bit more. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Let's take a look at it with the cloak turned off and the alpha for this turned all the way up. You know, that definitely could be worse. Retopo is always fun. Retopo is fun if you are fucking psychotic. I've been at this for an hour and I've got like a part of the body and this arm. Granted, this arm is the most difficult bit. Once the arm is done, we'll probably be fine. Once both of the arms are done, I mean, we'll probably be fine. So yeah, let's keep going. We're almost done with this one arm, so that's a good thing. Because that means that we can get started on the second arm. I love my life. I just don't love my life when I'm doing this. Okay, can this fly on my monitor? Fuck off, I'm already like triggered enough as is. But hey, now that we've found a pretty smooth workflow to get these to work, I think this will be fine for the other side as well. I just don't know what the hell's going on with Retopology on this side. Yeah, this is gonna be a pain. Move this. Hello? Why will you not let me select you? Oh, that's why. So, how's everybody's day going? Hopefully better than mine. That's not a great way to do that. We'll do this side first because this side seems easier. And that's how I live my life. You see? Easier. So much easier. Then we pull this down again and we say, hey, that's cool. Now, let's just move some vertices. What the? Why? The double vertices are killing me, man. I hope that's the right side. I think it was. No, it wasn't. This one is that, right? Yeah. Look, most people don't seem to... Well, actually, there's quite a few people hanging out. So maybe I was premature and maybe it's just the fact that I'm using different stream times than usual. Because it seems like the last time I did Retopology, like nobody fucking cared either. But you know, I do think it is a good thing to have the entire process up online, like start to end, of making this character. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to do that with every character in the game. Like at the moment, I don't really have a lot of time in my life to work on the game outside of the streams. So at the moment, the streams actually kind of provide a opportunity and a reason for me to work on the game, which is great. But ideally, at some point in the future, I'll again be in a situation where I can work when I'm not streaming. At which point I might make like entire characters off stream as well. We'll see. That's quite far in the future, probably, anyway. Let's add 2 here, and then we can probably add like 2 there, 1 there. Let's add 2 there. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Yeah, I definitely just need to get like the Retopo Flow plugin as well. Plug in as well. That'll probably make my life a lot easier because like with the toolset that I have right now, it's kind of a nightmare. Well, it's better than nothing. I'm at least using like the, I don't know what the plugin is called, but I'm like using the, I think it's just called B Surface plugin, which makes life a little bit easier at least, but it's still like not great. Okay, so we want this vertex. The end of this is going to be a mess, because we want that vertex over there, and then this vertex wants to go over there probably. I feel like we have inside faces somewhere. There's a few free ones. So yeah, I'm using a free one right now. I don't know if it is like a particularly great one. I like using it. Specifically, like when we get to the other side of the arm again, which will like give me 10 minutes. And we'll probably be there. Don't extrude that, you idiot. Like, I really like the way that the plugin that I'm using right now lets you just like draw a couple of lines and then generate starting geometry from that. But frankly, once I get to a part of my like creation process where I'm doing a lot more art and a lot less like programming, and we're getting close to that, right? Like I'm doing like a lot of level design stuff right now. That's extruding. It's not what I needed to do. I wanted to move. But with that comes some art asset creation as well, sometime in the near future. Like right now I'm doing this boss. And frankly, for like static meshes, I'm not doing retopology because I've got fucking nanite and the decimate modifier. So unless there's something very specific about like the UVs for a specific mesh, I'm not gonna bother doing manual retopology on that. So it's only really like character meshes that I need to retopologize manually. And specifically the bosses. And the issue with the bosses is that I like make one of them every couple of months. So every time I work on a boss fight, I'm like, it's not worth like buying a plugin for this, right? Because I'm going to be using this for a few hours and then I won't be using it again for like 2 months. Okay, let's add geometry. Let's add geometry. And let's try to fix up the mess that exists here, because I don't even know what the fuck is going on with half of these vertices, like at all. Like, what even is going on here? I mean, making art is a time-consuming process, but everything you do in game development is a time-consuming process. So it's like pick your battles, right? For instance, I have never really been particularly good at making music, but I've also kind of just decided that, hey, you know what? I've got just too much to do to bother making my own music for my game. So that's going to be either something when I have a budget, have other people do, or it's going to be AI generated. Probably good to add in a bit of geometry here as well. So, you know, you got to pick your battles. Or just like have a shit ton of money, and at that point you're still picking your battles because you're choosing which parts to hire people for. I'm missing a thing. I didn't do this one. And this one's actually also probably a bit of a bitch. Also, I didn't do like any of what's happening here. So that's gonna be a pain. Right? Oh no, I did do them. It's just... Okay, so what we probably want to do is we want to simple subdivide after, and then we want to duplicate this. I think that's the way we want to do that. Okay, let's turn off the cloak. And let's turn up the alpha for this and see what does our cloak thing look like. I would dare to call that acceptable. And not much more. But that is acceptable. Okay, so now I can show off the plugin thing that I meant a moment ago. Because we're going to go into the B surface mesh again. And what we're going to do here is we can just use the annotate tool. And I really love this. To just like draw the geometry lines that we're going to be using. So we have geometry, geometry. I'm going to try to draw the lines in such a way that they support the little like droopy bits a little bit more from the get-go. I think that'll be helpful. But like just being able to draw these lines, and this is going to get converted into geometry in a moment. This by itself helps so fucking much. Like we just draw these lines and we say, hey, add surface. Boom. We've added the surface. I'm going to turn off the subdivision again though. And the second shrink wrap. Fucking my neck. And then we need to do the same thing on the bottom side as well. Obviously. So we can just say, hey, roughly the same lines. Don't know what the fuck happened there. We're just gonna ignore that. And this will... what the fuck? Why does it keep doing that? Is it because that one vertex is selected? It might be because that one vertex is selected. You know, that'll do. It'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll work. And after we have drawn in these bits, we're going to get to make some more droopy bits. But once these droopy bits are done, I think that's the most difficult part of the entire cloak. We also have like the droopy bits in the cloak itself, like these parts, but I think those are going to be like significantly easier to model than the ones on the arms. Maybe they won't be though. Maybe I'm just very naive on how actually horrible that's going to be. Adding a surface here, we have the issue that when we add a surface, it always likes to add it facing up. So we need to flip the normals. And from there, yeah, so this line was drawn the other direction, wasn't it? Yeah, so the direction you draw those lines in actually does matter. And the order that you draw them in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say, hey, these, fucking delete them. We're just going to throw them out. And then we'll just like extrude them out like this. And hello, what the fuck is going on? Do we have another merge issue? I'm really bad with making. No, we don't. Why don't you do the thing? Well, if you're not gonna do the thing, I guess we'll just do it this way. Now you'll do the thing, right? No, why not? Surely this will do the thing. That did the thing. There we go. Okay, fix that up. I think, maybe. Still some weirdness going on with this. Hold on. Is there just like some faces hanging out on the inside here without any reason? Yes, there is. Bye. Okay. That all said and done. Let's just close up the outside here. There we go. Okay. There already are AI generators for 3D models, but as you probably expect, the topology on those things and the poly count in general fucking sucks because they're done with either with like I think point clouds was the way they were done initially, I think the way it works currently for the most up-to-date generators for 3D models is they use like a technique called Gaussian splattering, if I remember correctly. I don't know a lot about it. I've just like seen a couple of TikToks on the topic, which in and of itself is actually a pretty efficient rendering technique with some limitations. But when you then convert those outputs into a traditional like poly mesh, it actually ends up with like insanely high poly counts. So you still need to like decimate them or like retopologize them in order for those to be actually usable. But definitely like there is already 3D art AI generation. It's just not that good. As in, it's actually remarkably good, just not usable out of the box. But just decimating a model, specifically if it's like a static model, is not an issue. You might have to project the textures back onto the decimated model because it's going to fuck up the UVs. So there's some steps in there, for sure. But also steps that are quite automatable if you really wanted to do that. Yeah, it's very good for like if you just need either like a placeholder model or like a model that's going to be like in the background of a scene anyway. If it's not going to get focused on and it's just a little bit of like art decoration, especially if it's going to be like out of focus, if you have like depth of field on your camera, you'll be fucking fine with it. So it definitely like has use cases where it makes sense. But for a lot of models, there's also going to be that thing of, okay, so I need to do like a lot of manual cleanup. Is this actually going to save me a significant amount of time over making it myself? Like the whole thing with, and I heard 2D artists say this about 2D art generation. And now that it's about 3D art generation, I understand it a lot better. What did I did a thing. I don't know what I did. Yeah, you can use 2D art generation, AI generation for like reference material. But like it's gonna be so shit that you need to do so much to actually correct it that you might as well just make it from scratch. And I still do think that for like a learning experience, like if you're learning to do 3D art, and I assume that to some extent this would also apply to AI generated 2D art, if you're learning to do it, having that as a starting point is probably very good because you can focus on doing that cleanup, and then eventually as you get better, you might feel comfortable at some point like doing something from scratch. But it gives you a starting point to like do some technical work. So I do think for that purpose, it's probably actually just like really, really cool. Ended up learning how to model in Blender because it seemed like a current image to 3D gave results so rough it would almost be faster to sculpt from scratch. Yeah, exactly. For the most part, I think it is. But that comes back to the whole thing that we talked about earlier in the stream as well, right? Where, like right now, that's definitely the case. But there's gonna be some point where it's not only gonna be faster for certain things to be done by computers through AI, but it's actually just going to yield better results. I gave rotoscoping as an example of something that for the most part, like, unless you're like very good at specifically rotoscoping, computers are just better at it than people now and faster. And I think another one of those is like video stabilization. Like, you can manually stabilize a video if you want to, with just like rotation position data. Doing it with warping is a little bit more iffy. But that's the thing where like a lot of stabilization techniques these days use like translation and rotation, but also warping. And the whole warping aspect of it is just something that a person isn't going to be able to consistently do. So for video stabilization as well, like computers are just straight up better at it and faster at it than human beings are. And I do think that a lot of that is also going to at some point apply to a lot of like art related stuff. There's definitely still things right now, and for what I imagine the foreseeable future has in store for us, that are going to be easier to do as people. Like, I have this plugin that automatically cuts out silences in videos, which helps me a lot making tutorials, but also for like sometimes for client work or for the podcast that I run. That's really, really nice. But it's not to the point where I can trust it to just 100% do what it needs to do. So I need to still go back over and check. And like the Adobe Premiere now has a function in as well where it can use the auto-generated captions. Actually, maybe don't do that yet. Where it can use the auto-generated captions to automatically remove what it calls filler words, which is just like and that kind of thing, right? And it does that pretty good about like 70% of the time, and that's really good. That really helps you go through your material like a lot quicker if you can just skip through and say, hey, transcription, next filler word, check it. Next filler word, check it. And it is like quite aggressive in what it considers to be filler words and whatnot. So you're going to be very unlikely to miss out on some. It's going to mark things that are not filler words as filler words for you to manually check still. But that's another thing where I'm like, I wouldn't just... It has a button for this. Just remove all the filler words that it found. Just remove them all. You wouldn't find me pressing that button ever at the moment because it's just not consistent enough at picking up the right words in the speech. At the moment. Sometime in the future, it might get significantly better at it. And I do think that also... is this even a quad? Yes, it is. Okay. I also do think that if you're trying to make something like very specifically like original and something that you have like very specific things for in mind, AI generated stuff is just not gonna cut it sometimes. Like there's gonna be times where you try to make something and it's like, okay, you can use it as a starting point, you can use it as a inspiration source, but it's also just straight up not going to do it for you because what you have in mind, simply like that combination of things, is so specific that it just can't generate it for you. That is going to happen. This is not great. Fuck. If you're wondering what's not great, it's the fact that this thing already has 3 faces here, already subdivided. What I really shouldn't have. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, pretty shitty. Where's the last verse? I think it's this one. Yeah, it's that one. This. I think this makes sense. Maybe, possibly. I'm gonna pretend like it does. Because it means that I only have to extrude 2 faces now, and that is something that I like. Because it means that I have to worry less about weird topology stuff. And I can pretend like I'm good at what I'm doing, which is sometimes true, but not when I'm in Blender. Like, I'm a solid 5 out of 10 in Blender, at best. That's a vertice on the back face. Yeah, I'm going to just leave that to the subdivision to figure out, I think. But we're going through these droopy bits a lot faster now, right? At least it feels like it. The one here up at the shoulder, I'll do at the end. Okay, let's keep on going. My will to live is slowly fading away. Let's make the alpha for this thing actually a fair bit higher. Also, do I have backface culling on? Yeah. You see, if I turn backface culling off, I don't know, that might actually make it more readable. We're going to keep that off for a bit and see how I feel about it. I don't think I'm going to feel very positive about it. Just fair warning. But it does make things a little bit more opaque, which might be a good thing. Okay, you know what? You fucking know what? Fuck off with your backface culling off. No, that actually doesn't fix my issue at all. Okay, this one in particular is probably going to be a little tricky. So give me a moment to focus on what I'm doing here, and then we'll continue talking about bullshit like AI. Because frankly, I am not entirely sure where everything is at the moment. I think this is supposed to be on the back as well, maybe? This feels like there's still some double faces going on. What phase is this? What phase is that? What even is... Why is there this face and that face? How are these connected? Are they connected? I think there's a double vertice issue going on here again. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely like a double vertice issue. I think? Maybe? Maybe not. Might just be a shading issue. Maybe we got it? Maybe we got it. Like, once we're just down to this bit, I think it's going to get a little easier. It's just the transition between the arm itself and this little flap droopy thing that worries me. Man, my wrist is doing a lot of work today. That sounds weird. That's not what I meant. Let's make sure everything is like actually mapped properly to the surface as well. It's just going back and forth on my mouse so much. Maybe I should be doing this with the tablet. Again, I don't have any USB ports open to plug the tablet into, so even if I wanted to, that probably would be tricky to set up at the moment. I need a USB hub. There's just too many devices that I need plugged in at any given time, especially when I'm streaming. So maybe I'll get a USB hub, like next week. After I pay rent and stuff. See how much money I have left over. Like, the Patreon's going pretty well, so probably, like, I can get away with getting a USB hub. I mean, no, the Patreon's going shit. Everybody give me money. Also, AdSense is supposed to, like, pay out soon. It's like the... What date is it? It's the 19th. I think they pay out... Oh, no, hold on. They pay out, like, the 25th or something, I believe. So, by the end of the week. So, I'll probably... Yeah, I'll go get a USB. Matter of fact, after the stream, I'm just gonna order one. What the hell? What the hell does this... What the hell even... What... Do you see this? What the fuck? Oh, it's because I've got in front... Okay. This thing is always rendering in front. So... Well, that's actually a very useful view to have. Having clipping through it like that instead of always in front. Got to keep that in mind as well. Hey, watching the ads on the videos is also a very good way to support, specifically if it's like skippable ads. Like, I don't want to tell you guys to like play the YouTube AdSense for me, because like if you play it too much, the whole system falls apart. But specifically, like if there's an ad which you can skip, if you choose not to skip it, those things like make a shit ton of money comparatively. Like, legitimately, the CPMs for those, like for my usual videos, if it's just like a normal ad, just a normal everyday ad that you see, that you like, either is very short or like, well, the unskippable ones always are short, I believe. Those go for like $1.50 to $2 per 1,000 views, and that's per 1,000 ad impressions, not per 1,000 video views. That is a different metric. The skippable ones only get counted if you don't skip them, but the CPM for them is like usually about 10 to 20. It's like actually insane how much more it is. Like if I were to advertise on YouTube as like a company, I'll probably only ever take out those, because the advertiser also just only pays when people watch the full ad, right? So for advertisers, that's actually a really good format. And for creators, it is like when people actually watch those ads, it's also a really profitable format. It's just almost nobody actually watches ads that have a skip button, which is fair. I don't either. Mostly because I have YouTube Premium. But even when I didn't have YouTube Premium, I skipped those ads. Even on creators, I was like, oh yeah, I like you. But I don't like you enough to sit through like a 5-minute ad that I don't really care about. Okay. As I said, once the like transition bit there is gone, the droopy bit itself, not a problem. Hello, welcome to the stream. I did it again. Oh, fuck. Sorry, that was very loud probably. But this one's probably a bit easier to manage. So I'll probably be able to just say, hey, extrude this. You know? That definitely could have gone worse. Could it have gone better? Yeah. Yes, it could have. But it also definitely could have gone worse. So let's pull these vertices around a little bit. I'm starting to get better at working with this, which is a good thing. Except that that's definitely the wrong vertex that I just tried to move. I said better, not good, okay? Also, yeah, there's like definitely like no expectation on any level for anybody to like join the Patreon or YouTube membership. Like, it's very much appreciated and it really does help out, but and there's also definitely like benefits for like supporters, like the project file distribution and stuff like that goes through Patreon, and YouTube memberships also get those. Don't get me wrong. Like there needs to be a little bit of incentive there, but if it was like up to me entirely, which I suppose technically it is, but also like it's just like kind of not how the world works. I would just not have those kind of incentives and just do it on a purely like, hey, if you want to support me, go ahead. I appreciate it kind of basis, right? I think I'm just going to extrude only these two. I think I'm going to just extrude only this one. Maybe? Nah. It's actually bad. I'm getting really like... Okay, so that is the issue. I'm trying to extrude these faces while I should be extruding these faces. So if I extrude these down, that kind of gets me somewhere maybe, slightly, kinda. People around here are very loud cars. I don't know if you could hear that one, by the way, but I feel like that one was very loud. That car I just like drove by. So that's why I complained about it. I never understand the appeal of a loud car. Like, well, I kind of do, I guess. Like, it needs to be loud for you as a driver to be able to hear it properly inside, right? Because, like, you're inside. But in order for you to enjoy that sound on the inside, surely you realize that you're like actively being a nuisance to everybody around you. Man, this topology is just fucking horrendous on this arm. But I think we're getting somewhere with this. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, we can do this one. We can add detail through that. Cool. We'll get there. Where the fuck even? How the hell? This is like the actual worst. Like this is... That's the issue. I think, maybe. What even is going on with... What even is going on here? Like, what? How? What? I just don't know what's going on here. I think this is supposed to be on the back, and then this is supposed to be somewhere down here. How does any of this make any sort of sense? Yeah, I prefer it to be less of a fucking mess than this is right now, because like the normals are gonna get kind of fucked up though. And I also don't want to make my own life a living nightmare when it comes to adding in detail, because if I try to add in a loop cut here, right? Okay, so this actually is a pretty reasonable topology flow. It's just like, look at how this flows. Like, this flows through another vertex. Like, that's not okay. And this flows all the way down. But that is actually not that bad. Like, this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's also not the end of the world. I think now we're at a point where this just kind of works well enough. And then we're going to have to connect that arm up to the rest of the body and do the rest of the body. Oh my god. This better fucking be worth it. It's not gonna be. Let's save. Sounds like a good idea after 2 hours, right? Almost. Okay, this feels like it should probably be a relatively easy one, because we can just pull these down and we can say, hey, on this side, go there and go there. And for these, I'll go there, maybe even move this one a little bit there. Move these down a fair bit more. Like, this is easy. More of these kind of things, please. It's just like, hey, pull them down, and we can just actually, like, straight up pull this one almost all the way down. Holy shit. That's fantastic. And then we just add in 2 of these. And 2 of those. And that kind of gets the job done, doesn't it? Emphasis being on kinda. Okay, don't add any loop cuts in that direction yet, because we need to do a droopy droop thing on the other side as well. So just extrude this out one more time. I'll allow it. I think these 2 vertices are the wrong way around now. Yeah, this one needs to be on top, the other one on the bottom. You know, that one! Again, more like that one, please. I don't know why I'm asking for that. I made this fucking model myself. We're gonna get there. It's gonna be fine. Once we've done this one, it's another one where we have like more of a fall off. The things where it just like kind of extrudes out, those are easy. The things where it has more of like this almost like thumb-like structure to it, those seem to be the ones that I end up having trouble with. So let's hope that that's not the case here. It will be. Let's see how far we can pull this down. Actually, quite far before it starts weirding the fuck out. At which point, going into vertex mode, say, hey, this one down here, this one down there, this one over there, and then we repeat the entire process. And turns out, don't do that. And turns out that that actually makes the entire process really fucking easy. Because that's kind of, wow. I think that's kind of everything we need for this thing. One more extrusion might be beneficial. But let's first add the loop cuts in here. And in there. Move these around a little bit. Yeah, again, it's these bits that are like more fall off, which throw me off a little. But in this case, it's actually not even that bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So now we add in, well, I think 3 is pretty good. Except that creates some weirdness. Hold on. What the hell is going on with this? Nothing that can't be fixed. I just don't think that these parts are thick enough. And that's causing issues. There's a lot of minute cleanup to do at some point here, surely. Part of which will just be taken up by, hey, we're going to subdivide and then shrink wrap again. But I do think that this is a pretty good little cloth flap thing. Ah, man. Like, look at what we've done today so far. I'm going to finish this arm and then connect it up probably before ending the stream, at the very least. But we'll have done the 2 arms and like a band of cloth to connect it to, and that'll be all of the things that we've done in 2 hours of work. And I didn't even like go on like many tangents in this stream, which is like actually quite rare for me. Just goes to show you how insane the workload for this kind of stuff is. Okay, this is not going to work out too well. This is, I think, the bottom. Yeah, that's the bottom. This is the top. It's just working in 3 dimensions, man. I can't wait for the day when Blender has like a VR version. I think there's actually a vertex there that I want. I'm pretty sure this needs to be like back here somewhere. Or maybe this one needs to be up there. Yeah, I think that was it. Like, if you can just work on your 3D models in, like, actual 3D space, or virtual 3D space, you know what I mean. That definitely seems to help. That would make, like, perspective so much easier. Like, is this on the front or is this on the back? You can just, like, literally tilt your hat and say. We're still, like, this viewport is still a viewport, right? It's still a 3-dimensional space displayed in 2 dimensions, which, yeah, you can like orbit around and stuff, but wouldn't it be so much fucking smoother if you were like your eyes were in the same 3D space as like your work area? I really want Blender specifically for like sculpting, but also like retopology and stuff like this, which this is retopology. For this kind of workflow, it would be so nice to, if not VR, at least like AR, right? Like alternate reality functionality. Apparently I have some double vertices here, but those actually do come in handy for once. I really would like VR Blender. And I know there's already like VR sculpting tools that exist. Those are a thing. It's just they're not Blender, and I really want them to be Blender. Actually, I can add geometry to this. I don't know. I just triangulated a face somewhere. Let's not do that. Because this droopy bit and this droopy bit both are not in the same like face loop. Just extrude and ignore, just extrude and ignore, and wow, that actually went remarkably well. Pull this down, pull this over, pull this back, and pull this over as well. Then we add like 3 loop cuts. And we just extrude again. Add a loop cut. And just kind of shape this thing the way we want to shape it. And then on the back we do the same. add in geometry. We're kind of getting to a point where this is fuck. Never mind. I was gonna say where this is getting like almost tedious to do. And then that happened. Which I suppose that still does count as it being tedious to what the fuck? No, don't offset. No, don't offset anything, you fucking imbecile. At least it's nice that you can only select these vertices from the direction that they like. Well, not the direction that they belong to, it's actually the opposite. You can only select them from the direction that they don't belong to. No, this one needs to be on the back, I think, and then this one needs to be on the top, and then these ones are just a fucking mess. But I think we got them all, maybe? Is these bits where it gets really thin, where it becomes potentially a problem? Like, right there. Just make sure that the vertices are a little bit further apart. I think that's kind of all there is to it. Yeah, that looks good. Which I think only leaves the one at the end here, and then the bits to tidy up around the shoulder itself, which will also do. This one, though, probably real easy as well. Yeah, you see? Real fucking easy. I don't think the normal of this one makes a lot of sense. But if it works, it works, and I'm not gonna complain about it. Hello, vertice, thank you. Maybe pull this one back a little more. And then when we pull this one down, we can make this work. There we go. And then add in like probably 4 loop cuts here. That's what I'm thinking. And then we can add in 3 here. Which we can pull along a little bit to shape them around a little better. And these like bits of geometry are getting just too fucking thin to really work with. But I think that works. So, do we want to... Yeah, we probably do. The thing I was going to say is, do we want to move these things around right now? But I think it makes sense to do that right away. Because we have enough like resolution to do it. So there's no need to wait for us to add in more loop cuts for that to work. So there we go. Now, the scary bit is connecting this back up. No, actually, that's not entirely true yet, because we need to make the shoulder bits as well. How did I do that on the other side? I think I just... Yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just extrude this out. Extrude this out. Just all one face. And we'll like, oh, no. And we'll bridge some gaps in a moment. And do things like, hey, you are actually supposed to be up here. And then a little bit more over here as well, actually. The reason that I'm doing them like this is because it's easy to fill in every other face in a moment. So we can just now select this and fill them in. Doesn't quite work for this, but hey, once we've done this, actually, I now realize we'll actually just straight up be good to go with like these little flaps as well, I think. So we can just fill this one in. And this one, and I think this one again is, yeah, two faces. We also need to project this one a little bit better. It might not be two faces. It's not two. That's let's think about this for a moment, because something is going quite wrong here. I think maybe not. Let's see. Actually, no, that makes sense. I'm just not happy about it. Okay, let's connect these up and we'll worry about the rest a little later. So we'll... I think... Okay, it's important that we connect these up in a similar way on the top and the bottom. And the left and the right as well, I mean. But we have more geometry here on the... That's an issue. Do we? Or do we just have it closer together? Like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only one line more. It feels like there's such a big difference. Like this should then be 7, right? That doesn't feel correct. We'll worry about that when we get to it. For now, I don't really care. And this is not gonna make for very good like edge flow necessarily. But it also doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be modeling anything here. And it's not going to influence like the UVs for this guy either. So at this point we're like, yeah, technically what we're doing here is not optimal, but does it actually matter in the real world? No, I don't think it will. So I'm not going to bother doing it a proper way. Okay, so now we just have like this son of a bitch, which we can close, but it's going to look very ugly. But hold on. Because I think we might be onto something here. I think we close the loop. If we now select this face loop, that... Okay, that is fucking horrendous. Okay, so the edge of this arm goes over the shoulder of this arm, and then the edge of this arm just goes kind of like nowhere. Just goes along the edge of the arm itself. Actually, that's not the edge of the arm. It's this, I believe. So yeah, that wraps around the body itself and then ends up... This is a really weird loop, man. I don't like doing this kind of work at all. It'll work, it'll work, it'll work. That's the important bit. So now we can just say, hey, there. And for this, we can go back to like the easy work where we say, hey, extrude, 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 extrude. Okay, so now we do have to actually like extrude like a fuck of a ton of times because we didn't do this in an order that made sense. But we can now pretty easily add in the proper loops here. That's definitely not the edge that I wanted to select. Okay, so then in theory, if I did everything properly, this is now just a matter of pressing F a bunch of times. And it seems like it is. No, it's not. But now it is. No, it's not. Hold on. This needs to be moved over a little. There we go. Now, let's try to see how fucked this gets when I turn on subdivision and the other shrink wrap. It actually doesn't fuck things up too bad and makes them look quite a bit better. So turning off the cloak now. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. As long as we don't actually look at the edge flow for the loops, that's pretty good. And look at the wireframe for it. Like, this is the wireframe. Well, to be fair, that doesn't take in the subdivision, I don't think. Does it? I know. No, it doesn't. But still, that's not half bad. Just imagine that there's like 4 times the amount of vertices. So like this stuff is still going to be quite like dense and tight. But this is also going to need to be cloth simulated. So it's going to need that geometry. And again, I would like to reiterate that we are in wireframe mode and this is just like solid. Like this is the wireframe for the skull. Like, if we go real close, you can see, hey, actually, yes, it is a wireframe, but no, it just looked like a black material. So I think that's pretty good. Now, there's gonna be some more difficulty with like the drooping down of these bits and then making them all come back up to the inside of the cloak. And then doing the hood of the cloak as well. In a somewhat sensible way. But I think we'll just save that for the next... that's actually like this is an issue that like needs to be fixed. Like straight up, this is a problem. But it's a problem that we can fix, I think, by just moving a thing or two around here. Because this should still be... Yeah, this is just a normal workable edge loop. It's just the geometry here as being a little bit of a bitch ass. Let's turn this back in edit mode. It's not horrible, actually. We can add in another loop cut, maybe. Pull this down even more. Yeah, that'll do. Now, all that said, maybe we don't need 2 levels of subdivision for this. Maybe 1 is enough, because that does make the difference between... Just look at this, right? This is now 17,000 triangles. If I increase the subdivision 1 level, it becomes 70,000. So maybe we want to like not have that much, because that's, again, only this bit. We're also going to need to do the skull itself and everything else, and I would prefer if this thing didn't end up being like 200,000 vertices, or faces, rather. Or triangles. Faces themselves are a lot less, but the game engines render things as triangles anyway, for the most part. So let's try to keep it at like a subdivision level of 1 here. I think that is probably a good idea. For now, though, we've been live for almost 2.5 hours, made all of this stuff, and I have lost my will to live in that time. So I'll be back on Thursday, same time. I'm just trying out this new streaming schedule to see how like the analytics do, because this is what YouTube analytics suggests are my most optimal times. So we'll see whether or not YouTube is right, or whether or not me streaming at a decent time for being able to have dinner. Because right now the stream starts right around my dinner time, so I have to have dinner like or either really early or really, really late, and neither of those are quite my my preferred choice. But hey, if more people can tune into the streams live as a result of this, which it seems like a lot of people tuned in today, so that's nice, we'll keep it. So at least for a couple of weeks we're going to be doing this stream schedule, and I will be back next week, not next week, on Thursday, to probably finish off the rest of the cloak at least. I don't foresee me doing that off stream, and then next week maybe. The rest I probably won't manually retopologize. Maybe the skull, I'm still a little iffy on that, and then we can get to texturing, which is the real fun part. So see y'all. Bye-bye.